Thank you. Let's call to order the 1655th meeting of the Board of Trustees. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, for roll call, Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Nikozison,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Here.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes. Can I get a motion to approve the journal of preceding meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have no comments. Go to the report of the board committees. Trustee Watson,
Yes.
Can you read the audit committee report, please?
Absolutely. Audit Committee Board Comment Report. The Audit Committee met on February 1st at 7:30 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustee Watson, Evans, Fair, Wabi, Wilson, and with Trustee Nikozison attending online. Chairperson Watson called roll and had no introductory comments. The minutes of the November 2nd Audit Committee meeting were approved. A detailed discussion regarding the following items were presented on by internal audit. A report for the audit engagement that consisted of a review of the district's MRO or maintenance repairs operation inventory, specifically the engagement involved in the review of the district processes and controls in place for managing and administering the district's inventory assets. The scope period for reviewing and testing inventory transactions and data was a 3-year period of September 2018 through September 2021. The engagement received a satisfactory or clean opinion. 3 opportunities for improvement were presented and discussed with the committee. The 3 items focused on inventory levels, separation of duties, and the approval or review of inventory adjustment transactions. During the presentation, questions were addressed by the internal audit as they were received from the committee. The next audit committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, March the 1st, 2022. The meeting was adjourned at approximately 7:53 a.m. This concludes the audit committee report.
Thank you. Trustee Nikozison, can you read the program management committee report?
Yes, I can. Good evening, everyone. Program Management Committee Board Comments Report. Program Management Committee met on February 1st, 2022 at 7:55 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Evans, Wilson, Fair, Wabi, and Watson with Nikozison online. Chairperson Nikozison called roll and had no further comments. The minutes of the January 4th, 2022 Program Management meeting were approved. The agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented and discussed, including a detailed discussion regarding the following items. Ordinance number 15858, Market Street 2350 Green Infrastructure. Staff discussed this unplanned supplemental appropriation due to additional work and associated costs required by varying site conditions. Staff clarified that the internal design group coordinated design effort by consultants. Ordinance numbers 15859 and 15860, CSO Volume Green Infrastructure. Staff provided details of 2 CSO Volume Reduction Green Infrastructure grants being awarded to reduce combined sewer overflows to the Mississippi River per the consent decree. Staff provided details of the grants being awarded to Laclede Ventures LLC and Brymar LLC 1 for various volume reducing improvements. Ordinance number 15862, infrastructure repairs, wastewater. Staff discussed this unplanned supplemental appropriation of $2 million for additional funds to continue implementation of the small repair program. A number of recent immediate needs and acute defects have resulted in several costly repairs of high priority that had to be addressed in specific time frames. Ordinance 15863, Louisville and Oakland Avenue. Staff discussed bid pricing higher than the designer's estimate due to the project location, traffic impacts, and a tight construction corridor. Staff explained recent efforts to coordinate MSD capital projects with municipal and utility capital work. Ordinance number 15866, emergency repair number 069. Staff provided details on the emergency combined sewer repair project located near Shoto and South Ewing Avenue. Staff discussed the status of the sewer repair as substantially completed pending restoration, and the cause of the street subsidence related to the water mains versus the old brick combined sewer, with no clear indication of the cause. The executive director declared the emergency and notified the board on January 6, 2022. Staff is requesting introduction and adoption of this ordinance at tonight's meeting. Ordinance numbers 15867 and 15868, easement condemnations. Staff requested authorization to proceed with condemnation efforts for the Newport Landing Pump Station, eliminating Laramore's storm sewer. The locations of the necessary easements were identified along with the status of the project's easement acquisitions. Ordinance number 15869, Oracle Analytics Cloud Migration. Information technology staff explained the purpose of the project, the need for several software upgrades, and the rationale for selection of the proposed contract, while evaluating costs related to MSD staff resources. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for March 1st, 2022. The meeting was adjourned at 8:17 a.m. This concludes the Program Management Board comments report.
Thank you. Trustee Fair, can you read the Finance Committee meeting report?
Certainly. The Finance Committee met on February 1st, 2022 at 8:21 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Fair, Wilson, Evans, Watson, Wabi, and Trustee Nicholson online. Chairperson Fair called roll and had no further comments. The minutes of the January 4th, 2022 Finance Committee meeting were approved. The agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented and discussed, including a detailed discussion regarding the following items. Ordinance number 15870, Payroll, Time Reporting, and Benefits Software as a Service, SAS project. This ordinance allows the district to enter into a contract with ADP for payroll and benefits administration services through outsourced software services. The initial service contract will begin after successful implementation of the software in fiscal year 2023 and will have a term of 1 year with 4 additional 1-year renewal terms at the option of the district. Resolution number 3731, Pension Investment Policy Statement. Long-term capital market forecasts continue to fall, and an assumed actuarial rate of return in line with capital market expectations is important for pension plan funding and cost distribution. This resolution will reduce the assumed actuarial rate of return used to calculate the district's pension contributions and liabilities from 6.75% to 6.25%. Other items discussed during the committee meeting included the following. Director of Finance Marion Gee presented the Adjustment Review Committee report as required by ordinance. Marion also reported on the current financial condition of the district, indicating that it continues to be financially stable. Secretary Treasurer Tim Snoke reviewed the district's operating fund portfolio as of January 28, 2022, and indicated that the portfolio complies with the district's investment policy. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. The meeting was adjourned at 8:53 a.m. This concludes the Finance Committee Board Comments report.
Thank you. Trustee Wilson, can you read the Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting minutes, please?
Yes, I can. The Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting board comments report. The Stakeholder Relations Committee met on February 1st, 2022 at 8:55 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Evans, Fair, Wabi, Watson, Wilson, and via Teams, Trustee Nicholson. Chairperson Wilson called roll, had no further comments. The meeting of the January 4th, 2022 Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting were approved. The agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented and discussed, including a discussion regarding the following items. Resolution number 3730, Legal Consulting Services, was presented by Susan Meyer. Resolution will authorize the district to exercise the first option year for contract with Shands, Elbert, Genelakis, and Gilgen LLP to provide specialized legal consulting services on matters involving stormwater and wastewater rate consulting and associated regulations and policy on an as-needed basis. Ordinance number 15873, lease for a community rain garden and education center, was presented by Susan Meyer. This ordinance authorizes staff to enter into a lease agreement with a not-for-profit organization known as GRO Health Center. The lease is for a strip of property owned by MSD at 345 Whittier Street. GRO will use the property as a community rain garden education center. This lease is for an initial 5-year term with 1 5-year renewal option. Ordinance number 15871, District Classification Plan, was presented by Tracy Coleman. This ordinance will update classifications to reflect the retitling of existing positions and addition of a new position. Ordinance number 15872, District Compensation Plan, was presented by Tracy Coleman. This ordinance will add 2 new position titles and provide grade changes for 2 other position titles. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for March the 1st, 2022. Meeting was adjourned at 9:05 a.m. This concludes the Stakeholder Relations Committee Board Comments Report.
Thank you. Do we have a report of the Executive Director?
Yes, we do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 2 items for this evening. First, I want to recognize the Public Affairs Division. MSD was recently awarded a Midwest Regional Emmy for a public service piece on fats, oils, and grease, or FOG, called The Fog Before Christmas. The production of this piece was completed in 2020. The Public Affairs Division will be submitting 2 additional entries for the 2021 awards. Congratulations to everyone in the Public Affairs Division, and we look forward to your continued success and awards. The Fog Before Christmas video, as well as additional YouTube content, can be viewed on MSD's website. And I do have just a couple of the Public Affairs team here, along with their trophy, I think. If you guys just stand up. And Mr. Chair, that's the first Emmy that MSD has ever won. Well, now the pressure's on, that's correct. Finally, for those of you who do not know, tonight will be Tamara Clinton's 89th and final Board of Trustees meeting. During her almost 7 years as the Executive Secretary for the Board of Trustees and the Executive Director's Office, she supported MSD in so many other ways, such as activities with the Public Affairs Division, helping reignite the Employees Activities Committee, and probably most importantly, brought the MSD board process and systems into the 21st century, in spite of me. Everyone's going to miss her, especially me, but I want to wish her good luck in her next endeavor and ask that she not be a stranger. Tamara, thank you. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have to say before I start crying. So,
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the public tonight?
Do not.
Submission of public hearing reports.
There are none.
Any communications?
No communications.
All right, consent agenda.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. The consent agenda this evening is items 10 through 21. Is there any board member who would like to pull an item for a separate vote? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Thank you. I'll take that as a motion and second. Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Yes.
Mr. Nikozison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
All right, that will take us to new business. As usual, we'll start with ordinances. The first one is item 22, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15857, making a supplemental appropriation of $500,000 from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for sanitary sewer construction in the Park Drive Sanitary Relief Project in the city of Pagedale, and authorizing the district to appropriate additional funds to a contract with Kolb Grading. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Nikozison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Abstain.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Item 23 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15858, making a supplemental appropriation of $250,000 from the Stormwater Regulatory Fund to be used for green infrastructure construction in the Market Street 2350 Green Infrastructure Entrance and Landscaping Improvements Project in the city of St. Louis, and authorizing the district appropriate funds to a contract with Cosney Wagner. Is there a motion for introduction? Sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Fair.
yes,
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 24, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15859, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Laclede Ventures LLC for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction, the CSO volume reduction, green infrastructure Laclede Apartments project in the city of St. Louis. For motion for introduction.
So moved.
second,
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Ms. Fair.
yes,
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 25, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15860, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Brymar LLC 1 for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Westminster Place project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
second,
Sec,
Mr. Watson?
yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Abstain.
Ms. Fair?
yes,
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes. Item 26 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15861, making an appropriation of $785,000 from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for sanitary sewer construction in the Grand Glazed Trunk Sanitary Relief Project in the city of Baldwin, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Kelp Contracting. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
second,
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Ms. Fair,
yes,
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 27, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15862, making a supplemental appropriation of $1.5 million from the sanitary replacement fund and $500,000 from the general fund to be used for repair and replacement of manholes, sewers, and other infrastructure in the infrastructure repairs project in various locations throughout the district, and authorizing the district to appropriate additional funds for these projects to be bid through purchasing. Motion for introduction.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
yes,
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 28, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15863, making an appropriation of $2.8 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for combined sewer construction in the Louisville Avenue and Oakland Avenue combined sewer relief project in the city of St. Louis, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Gershenson Construction. For a motion for introduction.
So moved.
second,
Sec,
Mr. Watson,
yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
yes,
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 29, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15864, making an appropriation of $750,000 from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for sanitary sewer construction in the Schutz Road Sanitary Relief Project in unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Aztec Construction Specialty. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
We'll take that as a motion and a second. Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
yes,
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 30, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15865, making an appropriation of $275,000 from the Operation Maintenance Construction Improvement Fund of Coldwater Creek, used for storm sewer construction in the Everman Avenue 9518 storm sewer project in the city of Overland, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Waymire Farms. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
second,
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
yes,
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 31, the introduction and adoption of proposed ordinance number 15866, appropriating $400,000 from the emergency fund to be used for emergency repair in emergency repair number 69 in the city of St. Louis, and authorizing the district to enter into an emergency construction contract with J.H. Barra Construction. Motion for introduction.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
yes,
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Do I hear an objection to the suspension of the rule? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second,
Thank you. Mr. Watson?
yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
yes,
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 32, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15867, declaring the necessity for the acquisition of easements and temporary easements in certain real property within the district for the purpose of construction of sewers and related appurtenances in the project known as Newport Landing Pump Station Elimination in unincorporated St. Louis County, to serve the needs of residents of the area, and authorizing staff to proceed with further condemnation efforts related to the project. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
second,
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
yes,
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 33, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15868, declaring the necessity for the acquisition of easements and temporary easements in certain real property within the district for the purpose of construction of sewers and related appurtenances in the project known as Larimore Storm Sewer in unincorporated St. Louis County. Again, to serve the needs of residents of the area and authorizing staff to proceed with further condemnation efforts related to the project. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 34, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15869, appropriating $750,000 from the general fund to be used for professional services to migrate the district's unsupported OBIEE reporting and analytic tool to the Oracle Cloud Analytics Cloud migration district-wide, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Oracle America. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 35, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15870, authorizing the district to enter into a contract with ADP to provide the software and services for payroll, time reporting, and benefits administration for the district. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 36, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15871, repealing ordinance 15745, is adopted September 9, 2021, and enacting a new ordinance prescribing changes to the classification plan to update classifications to reflect the removal of obsolete positions, retitle existing positions, and the addition of a new position. Motion for introduction.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 37, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15872, repealing ordinance 15599, is adopted December 10, 2020, and enacting a new ordinance prescribing changes to the compensation plan to add new position titles and provide grade changes with an emergency clause. Your motion for introduction.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 38, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15873, authorizing the district to lease certain real property of the district in the city of St. Louis, known and numbered as 3045 Whittier Street, GRO Health Centers for use as a community rain garden and educational center, and to execute a lease agreement upon the terms and conditions hereinafter set out. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
All right, we'll move to resolutions, starting with item 39, the adoption of resolution 3726, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to James K. Foster for his 42 years of exemplary service to the district from January 2nd, 1980 to his retirement effective February 1st, 2022. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 40, the adoption of resolution 3727, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to David J. Gassner for his 41 years of exemplary service to the district from May 19th, 1980 to his retirement effective February 1st, 2022. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 41, the adoption of resolution 3728, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to Marcus L. Johnson for his 32 years of exemplary service to the district from December 5th, 1989 to his retirement effective February 1st, 2022. Motion for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 42, the adoption of resolution 3729, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to Henry L. Hunter for his 29 years of exemplary service to the district from May 4th, 1992, his retirement effective February 1st, 2022. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 43, the adoption of resolution 3730 to exercise option year one of a contract previously authorized by ordinance 15627, adopted March 11th, 2021, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with Shands Elbert, Giannakis, and Gilgum to provide legal consulting services on matters involving stormwater and wastewater rate consulting and associated regulations and policies. For a motion for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
And item 44, adoption of resolution 3731, authorizing the district to make changes to the district's defined benefit plan, statement of investment policy objectives, and operating guidelines, lowering the actuarial assumed rate of return from 6.75 to 6.25%. These changes fully comply with the criteria in the district's pension plan as described in ordinance 15110. For motion for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
All right, that takes us to the end of the agenda, and we have no further business, Mr. Chair.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good evening.
You too.
Good evening.
Good night.